Admiral's Log, January 5th, 1924. The invasion of Tonkin is in full swing. This is our first major push into the French colonies, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Success here is crucial. It's not just about gaining a strategic foothold, but also about boosting morale back home and proving that our plan can really work. The eyes of the Soviet Union are on us, and we can't afford to let them down. Our forces are making solid progress, but the French have thrown us a curveball. They've got a new type of destroyer that's fast, agile, and hits hard. These ships race in, unleash torpedoes, and get out before we can effectively hit back. It's a hit-and-run tactic, and I have to admit, it's giving us a hard time. This new challenge has forced us to rethink our approach. We need to adapt, come up with a counter-strategy to these fast-moving threats. It's a bit of a cat-and-mouse game. We're adjusting our formations, tightening our defenses, and trying to anticipate their moves. Our capital ships are especially vulnerable, so we're putting extra effort into protecting them. I'm working closely with my commanders, running through scenarios and planning our responses. We need to be quicker, sharper. These French destroyers are a real test of our adaptability, but it's a test we intend to pass. The situation in Tonkin is heating up, and the pressure is on. But this is what we train for, what we plan for. We're going to turn this challenge into an opportunity. A victory in Tonkin will be a game changer, a clear signal of our strength and resolve. Let's make it happen.
Hey guys, Stealth here, and welcome to episode 25. The French war is raging, and we are engaging 4 French battleships. We have, however, Sinop. It's her inaugural battle. She has already received crew training, so her 13-inch guns, all 10 of them, should be pretty dangerous. She is joined by the cruiser Chesma, battlecruiser, carrying 13.9s as well as 9-inch guns. Neptune, a new cruiser of the Yakov class, and the destroyer of the Krepki class. We've seen these before. A few torpedo launchers, a few guns, but mostly there to deal with submarines. The enemy, Valeureuse. This is their most deadly combatant. 8 14.5-inch guns with a trained crew. But then it gets different. We got 14 9.8 guns. We got another 14 9.8 guns, and another. This is how the French are bolstering their battle fleet, or their battleship numbers. Because at the start of the war, they had 30 battleships. Yeah, look, if you keep your battleships around from the 1900s, like 1902, 1903, I understand that you're going to be able to get up to those numbers. But my Neptune heavy cruiser is almost the same weight as one of their battleships. So I'm not at all concerned about this particular battle. In fact, I'm eager to see how well the Sinop is going to perform. Those 13-inch guns have never been fired in anger. The same can be said for the battlecruiser. These 2 ships, Sinop and Chesma, are going to prove themselves. And ideally, it's going to be just a lot of target practice against these French ships. Because I don't believe that those ships have seen a lot of upgrades. I don't believe that those ships are going to be very deadly. I don't believe that those ships are going to have, well, maybe even Mark II guns. I could, however, be entirely wrong. So let's have the Rostoropny scout out ahead and see if I'm right. Neptune is going to not strictly screen, but follow the battleship and the battlecruiser. And here she is, the new battleship, the Sinop. In case you're wondering, why did I only put 2 guns on the bow and 3 guns on the stern? Well, there simply wasn't a whole lot of room. This is the way the ship has now been laid out, so this is the ship that we have. Sinop has, especially on deck level, a lot of armor. 6.5-inch main deck, 15-inch main belt, 2-inch superstructure. She is extremely well protected. Whether that'll be enough, I'm not sure. Against those 9.8-inch guns, probably. I'm not scared of those. It's those 14-inch guns that have me concerned, because they're definitely more dangerous than what I have. This is their ship. This is their 14.5-inch gun ship. It is, however, low fuel. That is excellent news for me, because low fuel ships are slow ships I'm going to also slow down, build up my accuracy. Slow ships in this case are good for me, because while they might get an accuracy bonus, they're also just impossible to run away with. And that means this ship is not going to make it home. Not if I can help it. Now, because the ship, my ship that is, doesn't know if it can pen the target, it's going to use HE. I have taken a habit lately of also, always selecting AP, because it is just far more deadly in these situations. You can just do a lot more damage with it. The problem is I'm firing a lot of shells, so I'm probably facing from my own shell splashes. Yeah, other gun splashes, minus 50%. So it means that my accuracy is kind of disrupted by my own guns. As weird as that sounds. Also, it is going to be a little disrupted by that smoke screen. There, partial pen. Come on, Sinop. Get the damage in. That's their heavy cruiser. Also has taken some damage. The French, remember, are fighting the Italians and the Austro-Hungarians as well. So if they're engaging me in the Mediterranean, it's not likely that they're coming away clean. And same can be said for the Italians and the Austro-Hungarians. They're going to have fought something or somebody else. And that is excellent, because it means that all of these ships, they only need like a little bit of damage. And instantly they start taking damage instability. Which means these ships, well, they're going to be able... Well, they should be able to get pushed over fairly quickly. I am going to be... Yeah, I'm going to be a little careful over here with Sinop. She is getting relatively close to those 9-inch gunboats. They, however, have a very poor chance of dealing with Sinop, which is excellent. And there's my damage. And that is going through. So what are we looking at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Essentially 10 barrels per ship, if they're broadside. Which sometimes they are. Like this one, most of the time it's not. It's only using really 6 barrels. Not that dangerous. Over here we have a damaged heavy cruiser, which I really don't consider that much of a threat. It can, yeah, it can just not pen Sinop. The Sinop, however, is very expensive. This ship cost me a ton to build, 691 million. It is that expensive. So losing it would be a dramatic blow to the Russian Navy. So we're not going to lose it. We're going to let it do the damage that it can. And if I'm going to have to disengage, well, so be it. I'll disengage. I don't mind disengaging in these fights, so long as I come out ahead. One way or another. The Neptune is another new addition to the fleet. The Neptune is probably not that capable of dealing with the Ambuscade over here, the heavy cruiser. Her AP is decent. Especially against smaller ships, because semi-ballistic, I don't think it's going to do a whole lot of damage. Now take note of the difference in accuracy between the 8-inchers and the 9-inchers. The 9-inchers are Mark III, the 8-inchers are Mark III as well. But I'm seeing 26% versus 1.1. It is just dramatic, the amount of difference. This cruiser, Neptune, extremely heavily armored. It's maxed out on armor. It has... yeah, 8-inch structure, 8-inch forebelt, 8-inch aft belt, 8-inch main belt. So this thing has more armor on the belts than the battleships do. Because this thing is generally at greater risk than the battleship. That might sound a little weird, but the battleship is not going to be taking as many hits. Whereas this ship, Neptune, of the Yakov class, was designed to go into harm's way to shield the rest of the ships, such as Sinop and Chesma, from smaller ships. So they all have their role to play. Why are we targeting a heavy cruiser? Target the battleship. Use the secondaries on the Ambuscade. Ambuscade's already filling up. 60 million for a ship. So you can get 12 of those heavy cruisers for one of these, and you'd still have to pay extra. In this case, Neptune, 173 million. That's almost 3 of these Ambuscades. And then again, the Ambuscade is an old design. 20 knots. It's just a relic. Really. It's a remnant from back in the day when these ships were useful. But the French seem to have kept them around for too long, leading to a serious amount of tonnage, sure. Their naval power can be spread far and wide because they have these numbers. But once these ships actually start fighting, it becomes an entirely different story. Because once these things actually do take to battle, you can just push them out of the way. This thing has done no damage. It has landed no hits. So in that regard, I'm not too concerned about a cruiser like that. And if the same can be said for their battleships, then perfect. Perfect. I believe I'm sitting on about 60,000 victory points against the French by now. So I've made quite a lot of progress. And if I can keep that up for a while longer, and do some naval invasions in Asia, I can get a lot of territory from the French, and start growing the Russian economy faster. That has been the plan. Go to war with the French, take their territory, and make sure that they are unable to keep that economy booming the way that they have. Now, Sinop just took a big hit there. That must have been the 14.5. Yeah. Nothing else hits like that. And it's the Valeureuse that's currently doing that level of damage. Ow! There's another. Okay. You're going to disengage. You've taken enough damage as is. Unfortunately, it seems like we'll not be able to take these battleships out. But that's not necessarily bad. Here's why. These ships might have taken some damage, but they are getting crew experience. And combat experience does mean that these ships are going to be able to fight even better next time around. Sinop, pull back. 12% chance to hit. I'd love to take something like the Lorraine out, but it's 173 million. Valeureuse is 260, I think? 280. Yeah. You're going to target this. You have a chance to pen this? Yeah, pretty decent, especially against deck armor. Sinop, you're going to target the Paris. Or the Paris, as they would probably pronounce it. And if my destroyer... Yeah, I completely forgot about the DD. My bad. That's what happens when I keep chatting. The DD would have been very useful in smoking up the Sinop and covering her escape. Now, Sinop has taken some damage. I think she's going to be out of action for about 3 months. But she did face twice her number in battleships. So in that sense, I can't really fault her on her performance. Not in the face of this much adversity. And maybe I could keep her into the fight, or I could keep her in the fight. Like, I could keep her around. But I think it's better to keep her alive. Because while I might have the battleship now, and while she might be able to continue the fight, if she then takes another couple of flooding hits, she will not be able to continue the fight. That would be rather unfortunate. Now, what's the cruise speed here? 15.6. I'm kind of surprised by the performance of these 13.9s. They have range, they have a decent rate of fire, but they're not really getting the damage in. They have a trained crew, much like Valeureuse. And that was a hit from Valeureuse. That is by far their most dangerous battleship. What are these guys? Mark 3s. Okay, Mark 3 9H. Alright. Gentlemen, disengage. Yep, there's the flooding. I was worried about that. Good news is, all of these French ships, like I said, are low fuel. If they're not low fuel, then they're only going to max out at about 19 knots. So, I have done some damage. I've taken some damage. But I'm pretty okay with disengaging. Of course, I would have loved to take down Valeureuse. But there are more enemies around for the French. Maybe the Italians can finish them off. Maybe an Austro-Hungarian submarine can sneak in. We'll see. But for me, fight's over. Thanks to sinking that heavy cruiser, I did get some victory points. And actually more than the French did. Because the French didn't actually sink any ships. I did. I didn't actually see the light cruiser and the DD. Maybe like indirectly because I saw their smoke screen. But outside of that, I don't think I ever had these things close to my ships. Which is good. That is really good. Now, this battle really has shed some light on how the French have been bolstering their battleship numbers. And it also explains why they're suddenly losing a lot of battleships. Because, of course, once AI ships start clashing with other AI ships, it's entirely likely that both nations are going to have some poor ships. But keep in mind that I have been doing a pretty hefty number on the Austro-Hungarian Navy, and they have had to replace most of their ships. I'm not sure how many they have left, though, but their economy is very healthy. Look at that. 9.2% growth per year. They only have one battleship, however, but they're building another 28 ships. Could be another battleship in there. Now, the French only have 22 battleships left and 2 battlecruisers. The rest really isn't that spectacular, is it? Over in the east, the situation is good. I have taken Tonkin, which is 2.6 billion. There is sadly no oil production, but the French have more. So I'm already over here, and I have a pretty decent chance to complete that invasion. I do believe that I would need a few more ships if I want to get over 100% or over to, let's say, 50, 60, 70%. Unfortunately, beyond submarines, I have nothing here. All the ships that are stationed here are already taking part in these fights. Well, except for the DDs, but that's really not going to move the needle that much. I do want to have them here in case the French decide to start mining their ports. But based on the looks of things, I think they pulled every single warship back. Yep, this DD is also going home. They're just giving up their colonies, essentially. Which is fantastic news, because I can easily take down 99 soldiers in Cambodia. Famous last words, but I should be able to do that. 116 here. Look at that, 4 billion in income. 4.7 over here. This is going to be a very, very nice addition to the Russian economy. Because look at this, for example. The Russian Far East, 2.2 billion. Siberia, 100 million. There's just nothing here. 100 million there in Eastern Siberia. You just don't have an economy if you're playing as Russia. Now, we have an ambush here. The Apostle Piotr is getting rushed by a couple of those Le Malin super speedboats at 39 knots. She does have the Admiral Spiridov with her, which is a Novik-class light cruiser. Not a great ship, so we're going to have to rely on her secondaries, all of those 8s and 4s, to keep the DDs off of us. I really don't want DDs like those getting close, but at 39 knots, they're going to get close, whether I like it or not. So we're going to have to play around with the speed slider, we're going to have to play around with the rudder, and use those two factors to dodge every single torpedo. And in the meanwhile, take down a couple of destroyers. Now we're going to go with HE, because that should be more than sufficient to blow a couple of holes in a DD. The enemies to the south, we're at 10 times speed, 5 times speed, they're going to be close. Let's slow down to half speed. Here they come. 9 kilometers out, and they're speeding along. Look at that. 7.7, 7.4. Torpedoes at 6.3. Turn. Now, the Spiridov is a ship that is a bit weird. I cannot lose it because of victory points, but I don't mind using it as a torpedo magnet. Because it has pretty decent maneuverability. Turning circle of 308 means that it is definitely better than the 362 that the Piotr has. Piotr, however, has a torpedo blister, anti-torp 3. Light cruisers, pretty much by their definition, don't have that. And there's the torpedoes. Speed up if you can. Okay. Yep, all ahead flank. Just sail straight and you should be clear. But no, they're fast torpedoes, aren't they? Yeah, they're using fast. We also have one going towards the Piotr, 2 going towards the Piotr. I won't be able to dodge that. It's too close. Ooh, we dodged this. Come on, Spiridov. Dance for me, girl. Come on. We should be good. Yep, we're good. Yikes. Partial pen? Oh, the 8-inchers are not penning the target. Fine. Good lord. That was getting uncomfortably close. And they still have 2 more torpedoes on the starboard side. That probably goes for all of them. Because I do believe they carry a reduced torpedo complement. Yeah. Which means they got 1 salvo. That's all. The Piotr took a hit, but it was a dud. Boy, are you lucky. Boy, are you lucky. Boy, are you unlucky. Destroyer taking 3,000 points of damage and immediately flooding and losing half her bow. Now, I'm very concerned, yep, there it is, about the Spiridov and her probable meeting with more torpedoes in her near future. Fantassin over there is also angling for the Spiridov. And Verdun won't be going anywhere anytime soon. She's already taken a ton of damage. Hello, more torpedoes. But these torpedoes are, like, their spread's pretty wide. And that's going to be their undoing. Now that means that the Tirailleur is empty. Fantassin is not empty. It's a different class. Crap. Hard to port. The Fantassin is now empty. Okay. Let's see how quickly these Noviks can dance. Get out of the way of the torps. Those fast torps really don't give you a lot of time. Yeah, we're good. We're good, but damn. That got uncomfortable. Cadet level of training. It looks like the Greek haven't really invested a whole lot in the crew training. Can we please target this one? We need a few hits, flood it, and then eliminate it. I think the main threat is passed. Verdun has no torpedoes left. Fantassin has spent her torpedoes. Oh, come on, dude. 0% chance to hit. Target fast speed is only 27%. Target ship size is 65%. Targets behind smoke, 25%. But there goes your speed. Fantassin floods. Ooh, severely. Severely. Fantassin suddenly lost all of her speed. And now it's actually going to turn into an advantage. There we go. Tirailleur out of torps. This is the only unknown. I'm gonna give credit to these French destroyers. It's really brave what they're doing. But it's not gonna work out. Nice couple of 8-inch shots. Do it again. And keep in mind that these 4 ships... That's 200 million that the French have just sent after me. Well, maybe a little less, because they also have that... Fuck. Ow. They also have that other ship. The slightly different class. So that came from the Audacious, huh? And she still has more torpedoes. My battleship goes, yeah, I can do that too. And throws a torpedo at the starboard launcher at the Tirailleur. But I think the rest of the weaponry that she threw out is a heck of a lot more dangerous. The Tirailleur goes down. Alright, now we're going to do something... Well, dare I say audacious. We're going to try and sink the Audacious. The Admiral Spiridov is going to have to take a little bit of time off her busy schedule to get repaired. Hold on for a minute. Where are those torpedo launchers? Port side. Unless this thing dances around, we should be good. Whoa! We're not good. They did have another launcher ready. This is going to hurt. Oh, it's another dud! Boy, did you get lucky. I got so lucky with that battleship, running into 2 duds. Not 1, but 2. Nice. 4,500 victory points. I'll take that. That is a very nice win. Moving straight on to another fight. This is Battlecruiser Perm. She's been doing a lot of work for me. 8 13-inch guns are proving to be quite the match for the French battleships. This Souffrant battleship has a regular crew, armed with 8 14.5-inch guns, and escorted by 2 DDs. I am also escorted by 2 DDs. Perm, however, does not have the same level of firepower, but she does have veterans. And, at longer ranges and lower speeds, I have already one of these one-on-one duels against the enemy. I fully intend to do that again. Sinking yet another battleship would be a major blow to the French, especially since this is one of their, let's say, more modern battleships. I think this is 1921 design that they have going. Or potentially a 1921 refit. So let's see how dangerous it's going to be. Destroyers Vladivostok and Tochny are older ships, 5.9 inch. Well, what I intended to be gunboats. But let's be honest, they're pretty bad at that. It's not something that they do very well. Because they roll and bob and weave all over the place. Making them pretty poor battles, pretty poor gunboats. There's the battleship. I'm going to put Perm in a turn starboard. Slow her down to about 18 to 17 knots, which should give me at least an okay amount of cruise speed advantage. And get ready to land some AP shells right through the French deck. That's where the shells need to go. That's where you can get very serious damage numbers. And if only I could upgrade these to 13-inch Mark IVs. I can, however, upgrade the ballistite. I have better propellants now, but it's difficult to pull ships off the line. Most of my ships are busy every single month. And I'll probably have to keep it that way up until the point where the war has ended. So that I can put the ships all through a refit program and be ready for the next fight. Here we go. First salvo has been landed. It's done almost no damage, but that's fine. I am very much intent on sticking this one out because I'm already getting about 6.5% chance to hit. That is not too bad. We're approaching the ship about 20 clicks out, so I should be able to pin... Yeah, 7 inches of deck armor. This is excellent. Looks like the French ship is maneuvering all the time. There we go, another starboard correction. I'm going to keep the DDs here, doing all sorts of weird and wonky things to distract the battleship. I want them to go, hey, look over here. Look at the destroyers. Try and target those. If I just keep a destroyer going in a turn, good luck hitting that. They might land a lucky hit, but that's about as good as it's going to get. We are 10 clicks out. My torpedoes are ranged for 6.2. So if I want to try and get out of them, I'm going to have to do that from... Well, from a torpedo dash, which is not something I want to do. I want to let the battlecruiser do the work. The battlecruiser can do the work. However, the battlecruiser has gotten fairly close. 13-kilometer range. 12. Decent chances to start landing full salvos. There's the Lyon. They're targeting the battlecruiser now. And they're smoked up. 50% chance to hit. Ooh. That got very, very deadly very, very quickly. Bring the DDs over and smoke up the perm. I have lost about 70 to 80% of my buoyancy. Oh, destroyed main gun on the DD. We're going to have to try and save the perm using the smoke screen. That means I'm going to split these ships up. You are going to, like, I don't know, run interference. You're going to smoke up and slow down. There. We've lost line of sight, but they have also lost line of sight to me. Perfect. You're going to go at 8 knots and try and do some damage. You're going to wait with your smoke screen because we're going to alternate smoke screens. But please don't hit me again because that'll be the end of me. Yeah, they're thinking about it. Smoke screen done in 2 minutes. Tochny, get ready to smoke up again. That was a massive hit. Like 4,500 points of damage and 6,000 damage. Smoke out in 30 seconds. Start running. Tochny, start slowing down. This is how you can get a very badly damaged warship out of a fight. Smoke up. It doesn't always work, but if you micromanage this, it can make the difference. In Vladivostok, this DD has now spotted the enemy battleship. So I now incidentally get a couple of shots off from the perm, but I can now end the battle. This is how you disengage. Yes, it took me a lot of damage on the perm, but at least the battlecruiser survived. The French have that massive economy to build a whole bunch of new ships very quickly. I do not. So I need my battlecruisers alive. The damage to the ship looked probably a lot worse than it actually is. And that has to do with the way that the ship is flooded. Because flooding is something you can very quickly get rid of. But structural damage is something that sticks. So I'd much rather have a ship that's about 80% flooded than a ship that's 80% structurally damaged. Because now I only have medium damage. How long is that going to take? How long is the perm going to be out of action? 5 months. I can accept that. 5 months is a heck of a lot better than building another of these battle cruisers, which is the Kuban class. Kubans take 18 months to build and then 2 months to commission. So I can either repair it in 5 months, or I can repair it, or I can build a new one in 18 months and let's say 20 months. Now let's see how I can make her even better. This is the Kuban class. I have gotten some technological breakthroughs, such as switching to oil, which will give her more range. Look, we're going from 11,900 to 18,4. That's really good. I also have access to the geared turbines. These things provide 120 horsepower per ton. These things provide 145, meaning that they take up less weight. I can also go turbo electric, but look at what that does to the price. 231 million. For a battlecruiser like this, I don't think it's going to be that useful. It's a fun system to have, though. Because you are getting a lot of acceleration, a lot of deceleration. You're getting less maintenance cost. Hold on, maintenance 5 million a month. 6 million. Oh, okay. So I'm paying a bigger sum up front, but over the longer haul, it's going to be cheaper. Fine, we're doing that. Upgrade her armor. Crypt 3. Citadel is fine. Reinforced bulkheads 2. I can even give her a double hull now. I can give her slightly better torpedo protection, but that's not really what kills her. I can go up to... Let's see, flash fire chance. 32%. We're going to go to 2 powder. 14%. 5%. 5% is better. I'll take the 5%. Coincidence rangefinder. We're going to swap that to a stereoscopic, because we're mostly using these as longer range combatants now. Hydrophone. Advanced radio is fine. Turret rotation. Electro-hydraulic turrets. And that also frees up the ability to give these things maybe slightly longer barrels. I'm thinking 10%. To give them an even better way of hitting things from afar. I'm thinking 15,000 meter range. Looking at 0.3 to 0.8% chance to hit. I give these 10% longer barrels. Oh, that makes the ship not want to have the turrets on anymore. There. So 15,000 meter range, yeah, 0.8 to 1.7. It's a lot better. I'll take those longer barrels. I am willing to accept that the reload's going to go to 64 seconds relative to 49.7. But I'd much rather land hits with my ships than just have them splash needlessly and wastefully. As for the type of shells, they're using capped. Let's go to capitalistic, considering that the French battleships are very heavily armored. And I'm going to give them an AUX 2, maybe even an AUX 3 engine, because it means ship repairs are going to go a lot faster. And water pumping does too. It is not a cheap... Actually, it's not that expensive an upgrade. 302 million to 290 million. Yeah, I will accept that. Speed. Might be able to give her slightly better speed. Let's say 28 knots. No. 27 knots is fine. 27 knots is fine. It's going to take 4 months, however, to fix all this. Engine efficiency is really good. We should have good decel and acceleration. And this is also going to aid with torpedo dodging. Because I don't want to put a whole lot of anti-torpedo protection on her. Or rather, torpedo protection. If I can have hydro and slow her down very quickly. Her main deck is extremely well protected, which works with the long-range engagements. I can make this even better and reduce her pitch in the same swoop. There we go. She has a slight 4 weight offset, but I can accept that. And I don't feel like I fully need to max her out. I might be able to do a little bit of armor on her stern, however. Let's add the inner belt. Put a bit more armor on her stern to balance out the ship. There, 4.2. Okay, that is the new Kuban class. Better, more dangerous, and potentially later on I can even give them 14-inch Mark IIIs. Hold on, what does this weigh? This weighs 1,200 tons, this weighs 1,800 tons, so you're paying 600 tons extra. So right now I have, let's say, 4,800 tons for 8 barrels. If I go to 3 of these, I'm paying slightly more, but I'll get more firepower back. The reload, however, is worse at 81 seconds. No, we're going to stick to dual barrel. It's fine. Save the design. And if I find myself in a situation where I can refit one of these, I'd gladly do it, because this is a very nice upgrade for the Kubans. So with that, the war is going very well. The French are losing territories quickly. They're losing a lot of their navy. They might be losing transports, and as such, more of their GDP. My GDP should be growing. Not necessarily because I'm growing with my economy, but simply because I'm taking more territory. More where that coming from, please. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you soon for the next